Hi, my hair's pink. Okay, today I'm going to be filming an anti-haul, which I've been seeing a lot on YouTube lately. Basically, if you don't know what an anti-haul is, it's basically talking about the stuff that you aren't going to buy, stuff that you're not interested in wasting your money on. So I'm going to talk about kind of more stuff came out recently. Also, just a reminder before I start the video that I am on other social media platforms, so feel free to follow me on my Instagram and on Twitter and Snapchat. Okay, so I have a little list in my phone. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the Naked Heat palette. Now, I knew right away when this came out and I saw swatches of it and pictures of it that I didn't want it. Even honestly, the Naked Smoky palette, like I feel like they should have stopped at Naked 3 because the whole point of the Naked palettes was kind of to have neutral colors that were easy to work with and that people could use for every day. That's why I really liked the Naked 1 was very like neutral, normal, kind of nude shades, and then 2 was more of the cool tones, more taupey colors, and then of course we had Naked 3, which was more of the rose gold colors, but I feel like they should have stopped there. The Naked Smoky kind of, it didn't make sense because it's supposed to be like naked, so it's supposed to look nude, but smoky obviously isn't naked, you know what I mean? Like it's smoky, you never do a neutral smoky eye, like, or a natural smoky eye, and all the colors in that palette were very dark. Same as, the Naked Heat palette, I feel like they tried to make it almost neutral because they almost just toned down the colors more, but how do you call it a heat palette when you're putting in colors that aren't very vibrant reds and very vibrant orange colors? Like they had the oranges and they have the reds and the very warm plum colors that are in there, but they're not bright enough to be able to attach the word heat to them because they tried to make them more neutral so that it could be a naked palette, but it doesn't make sense to have a palette with bright colors and not make them pigmented enough to be bright. They almost blend in together. Any kind of tutorial I've seen with them, the colors just kind of blend together. They almost look mucky because they're not bright enough. The colors aren't pigmented enough and strong enough to be that really strong, like heat, like reds and oranges. A lot of the swatches that I saw, especially on darker skin tones, it looked almost chalky, the colors, and I don't know if it's because they were trying to make them, it's almost like a pastel like reds, which doesn't really make sense. I can't think of a situation where I would want like a pastel-y red. Like they almost all look pink or peachy rather than a really strong warm color. I mean, again, I like the other Naked palettes and I really like Urban Decay itself, but like as a brand, but I felt like that palette was kind of a flop. However, in that line that just came out, I'm actually very interested in the eyeliners that came out with it. Not so much the lipsticks, but they had a very rusty kind of orange copper eyeliner that I don't have anything like that in my collection, so I would actually be very interested in buying that. And I think there was a red as well, eyeliner that looked really cool, and I seen a lot of people use those in tutorials and they look really nice. So, and their 24-hour eyeliners are actually really well. The formula for them is really nice. They actually are very pigmented and they do stay on for a very long time. They're actually pretty hard to take off. For the palette, kind of a flop, not going to buy that, but the eyeliners might be interested in. Next, I'm going to be talking about the magnetic eyelashes, which they seem kind of ridiculous. I feel like it's a very good idea in theory. It seems very simple, like, oh, you don't have to glue them on anymore, you can reuse them as many times as you want, they won't get mucky, they're just magnetic, they just clip on. I do believe they retail for $70, which is obviously very expensive for eyelashes, but I think they figure if you're using them over and over again, you'd actually end up saving money on lashes because you can reuse them as many times as you take care of them, right? However, when I see people try them out and when I've seen them on models, they look really ridiculous. I notice a lot of people when they try to put them on, they almost clip towards the ends of their eyelashes, which obviously you don't want it to be clamped to the ends of your eyelashes. It's going to look ridiculous. And also, it's not a full band and there's only one magnet on the actual band of the eyelash. So it's only clipping together on that one piece where the band's attached. So there's going to be pieces of the bands that almost stick out a little bit, almost like when you apply a false lash and you don't glue down the corners well enough, so it's not ever going to look natural at all. It's always going to look almost chunky, and from any of the reviews I've seen, they said that the lashes feel very nice, but they're very actually hard to apply. I can imagine with a little bit of practice they might be easier, But why would you pay so much money for something that you have to get used to using when you can just use your regular false lashes that you're used to and that you love, right? And again, pretty expensive for a false lash. I do believe you get 2 pairs of them, but I'm not totally sure. And again, it's not a full lash, so it just is on the outside of your eyelashes, so you would have to apply a pretty generous amount of mascara with them as well in order for them to blend in with your eyelashes, especially if you do have naturally short eyelashes or blonde eyelashes. So yeah, again, kind of a flop for me. I definitely won't be purchasing those. I don't really wear false lashes myself anyways, but I also wouldn't recommend it to anyone who does. Ooh, okay, so this is kind of early to be talking about this, but I saw that Too Faced actually released kind of like a sneak preview to their holiday palette. In the past, I have bought their holiday palettes. I haven't been super impressed with them. I feel like a lot of brands like Too Faced, they do holiday palettes and things like this, and obviously people are going to buy them because people just love holiday palettes. Around the time of the year, you buy people makeup, presents, stuff like that, so they're always very popular, and they always do sell well. But the last few years, especially with the Too Faced palettes, I find that they're not really great quality. I feel like they're almost just not caring about the actual palettes, and they're just putting it out for Christmas because they have to put something out. They're not actually taking the time to develop a really nice palette, something that's going to actually work well, actually take the time to consider the colors that they're putting in it. I feel like almost every year it's always, you get a few neutral colors, you get a few pinks, you get a few purples, and that's basically it. I'll show you the palette that I do have. This one that I have, it's kind of dirty right now because I've had it for almost 2 years now, but this is the year when you had 3 palettes. There was a neutral one, there was a more pinky one, and then there was this palette which has more of the bright, like, purples and dark colors and stuff like that. But even this palette, I'm going to show you some swatches of it just on my arm. Don't mind my fingers, I just did a teal color at work, so that's why they're kind of gross looking right now. I swear my nails looked beautiful before, but of course ruined them. But even the neutral colors, they were almost chalky, and I was actually really excited for this palette to come out because I thought it would be really nice. I don't know if you can see, I swatched 2 there already. And then here's just like a darker color that's in the palette. I don't know, like, they're not terrible, and they don't swatch terrible either actually, but you can just tell they're very chalky and they're not super pigmented, especially when you put them on the eye. The color almost blends away and just looks muddy. So I can't imagine the newer holiday palettes are any different, and I haven't noticed a big change within the palettes. Like, they're not really doing anything different. I think last year they did almost the same exact thing as these palettes, so I definitely wasn't interested in those ones. And then this year, I believe it's a bigger palette, but it's almost all the same colors, so they're not doing anything different or creative. It's just the same thing that they know is going to sell every year. And I can understand as a brand why you would do that, because obviously you're going to sell things that people like and people are going to buy, but it's also like you lose a little bit of the creativity there, and I've kind of lost interest almost in the brand because of stuff like this, right? So we'll be buying that holiday palette this year at least. Hoping they'll step it up maybe next year. We'll see if they do basically the same thing. Another thing I won't be buying is, I noticed they made a Kat Von D, which I love Kat Von D, and I love her brand, and I love her. I think she's so creative and, you know, just amazing. She's so talented. She can do so many things. They came out with the Shade and Light palette, eye palette, but just shimmery, which, I mean, a lot of people I think will like that, especially if you have the Shade and Light palette, because then you can kind of use them together, the same kind of colors. They work together, obviously. But I felt like that was so, like, just like a cheap move on the brand, I guess, because it's like you couldn't come up with anything new, so you just did the same palette but shimmery. Like, I can understand why they did it, but it's just so not creative to me. Like, they could have came up with like a brand new palette, something new, but instead they just did the same palette but with shimmer in it. Like, there's not even any new colors or anything like that. It's literally the same colors but with shimmer in them. I won't be buying that palette. I don't actually own the original Shade and Light palette myself. I do like the look of the palette. There are a lot of very pretty colors in it. I saw like a copper color that was shimmery that was really nice. I don't know, I just kind of, it was kind of like a boo to me to Kat Von D, because most of her stuff is like so different and things that other brands just don't have, and I felt like it was kind of I don't know, it's just not what I expected from her and her brand, I guess. I don't know if it's because, I know lately she's been working on a lot of new things, like her shoe brand I think she's coming out with. I've noticed her posting a lot more of like her tattooing and stuff like that she's doing. So I don't know if she's kind of moving away from her makeup brand. I know that she now has like the Artist Collective group that she kind of has almost taking care of her brand while she's doing other things, which I think is really cool because she's kind of letting other very amazing creative artists also like kind of help with her brand, and you get kind of different perspectives. I noticed that a lot of the girls that she included in this group, they have very different styles while still kind of keeping her main kind of aesthetic that she has, but I feel like almost she's like kind of giving it up on her own brand and like kind of like, oh, like these people can like do it herself. Like I love Kat Von D, I don't want to like kind of like diss her, but this palette I guess kind of let me down a little bit with her and her brand. I don't know if like, it's almost like she's getting a little bit lazy with the palettes that she's coming out, which I can understand, like it's obviously a lot of work. You kind of lose a little bit of her personality and her passion in her brand and her products because she's kind of just letting other artists come in and influence it, and which again I think is really cool because she's letting other people kind of give their input and you're seeing other sides of other techniques and other ideas from other people. But yeah, that palette was just kind of a letdown. Okay, lastly, I'm getting how to group these together. I know they're not the same people and that it's not the same company, brand, anything like that, but basically anything from Kylie Jenner and anything from Kim Kardashian I will not be buying. I do like a lot of the things that Kylie Jenner has put out, and I think that her liquid lipsticks and stuff like that, a lot of them are really nice, a lot of people really like them. But for me, I can't see myself ever buying anything from her brand or from Kim's brand. I think a lot of her products are kind of just copies of other brands that you could get from ColourPop. I know the ColourPop drama, whatever, but from ColourPop, from NYX, from, you know, Kat Von D, like all these other brands who have amazing liquid lipsticks, and just because she's attached her name to a product and a color, suddenly it's like the best lipstick ever and everybody has to buy it. Not to mention, her lip kits are so expensive, and I know that like the shipping is ridiculous and that some people don't get their product and like stuff like that, but people are still buying it just because it's attached to her name. But just because her name is attached to a product doesn't mean that it's going to be a good product. Just because, you know, her makeup obviously always looks flawless, she always looks amazing, but that's because she has makeup artists doing her makeup every day, or she has access to these very expensive, very high quality products. That doesn't mean that her products that she's putting out are going to be very high quality and very well. Mind you, I've never used any of Kylie's products, and so I can't really judge it, but for me it just feels a little bit, seems a little steep to like buy such an expensive product from a brand that all you know about and all you trust is coming from Kylie Jenner, and you love how she looks, so I need to buy her lipsticks, right? Or her highlighters, her eyeshadows, anything like that. I know that with a lot of her eyeshadow palettes, a lot of people bought them because, oh my gosh, Kylie Jenner, and like her lipsticks were good, so her eyeshadows must be good as well. But I know that a lot of her eyeshadow palettes were like kind of a flop, and a lot of people didn't like them. Yeah, I never had any interest in really buying them because I didn't expect them to be really high quality, because it's one of those things where you buy it just for the name rather than the actual quality of the product. It's almost like you're buying designer makeup, not for the performance, but because it's Kylie Jenner. It kind of seems pointless to me. I'm not the type of person to spend my money on something like that just because Kylie made it, right? I know that Kim kind of collabed with Kylie and did her like lip glosses or something like that. Those I just thought were kind of stupid, honestly, because they're just new glosses that you could get anywhere. But again, because Kim's name's on it, must be amazing, right? And I know Kylie had glosses too that there's a lot of drama with the brushes sucking and stuff like that, because it's like, I feel like Kylie's not a makeup artist, and just because she loves makeup and she has her makeup done every day, I don't think that means she knows a lot about makeup and she knows what it takes to put out a really high quality product. Kim Kardashian, she recently came out with the contour kits that she made. I have not seen one good review on those products at all. I was never really like super interested in actually buying it because I know there's a lot of dupes to it that literally do the same exact thing. I think she's really smart for putting out this because obviously Kim Kardashian, her big thing is her contour. Everyone wants to be contoured like Kim Kardashian, you know, have her cheekbones, have her glow, everything like that. So she's very smart for putting out this product, which I feel like Kylie also, feel like I diss Kylie a lot. She's very smart for putting out her brand. Obviously she's using her huge fan base and, you know, social media and everything like that to put out a brand. It's obviously going to be successful because she's so popular and she's so iconic that everyone is obviously going to buy her product. So obviously I think these two women, I think all of them are actually really smart. I know I didn't mean to turn this into like a Kardashian video, but I think they're all like really actually smart. I know they're kind of viewed as like, oh, they're stupid, they're talentless, whatever, but they're obviously very smart when it comes to business and marketing because you can see they're very successful. They could have very easily just died out. The contour kits, I think, were horrible. I would never buy them. I think that they were really expensive. I think it was about like $60 or something like that for the kits. I'm not totally sure how it is because like American's obviously different than Canadian and everything like that, but anyone that I've seen that has ordered it has been so disappointed in the actual quality of it and obviously the amount of product that you actually get with the kit. I think it was about like this much actual product that you get in the tube, which is obviously ridiculous, especially when you're paying $60 for a product. They did mention that a little bit goes a long way, so you don't need as much product, but I don't really think, I feel like you use the same amount of contour regardless of how pigmented it is because you sculpt it out and then you blend it out. And another big thing with that product was the brush sucked, obviously. I feel like the brush is very dense and short, which would be better for applying foundation rather than blending out contour. I know when I blend out my contour, I like to use more of a softer brush because you're blending it out. You don't want to move any of your foundation underneath. So I can't imagine using a really dense brush to try to blend out your contour. You're just going to take off your foundation and possibly the contour as well. One thing I did see was that on the darker shades, a lot of people who had darker complexions really liked the highlight part of it, not the highlight that goes under your eyes or anything like that. I watched a lot of tutorials where they were too gray toned and made people look very washed out. However, the shimmery side of the highlight, I know that a lot of people like that. I don't know if it's worth buying the whole kit for $60 just for the little bit of shimmery highlight that you get with it. But that was one thing that I did notice people actually liked about the kits. But other than that, I can't think of any reason why I would buy Kim Kardashian contour kits. Like, even, like, they mess up the sponge, which I don't know how you mess up a beauty blender on a stick. Like, people didn't even, like, they couldn't even use the beauty blender on the stick. Like, it's just ridiculous to me that it was obviously very poorly made and just something they wanted to make quickly and be able to sell really fast and in big quantities, I guess, because obviously it was going to sell out. A ton of people were going to buy it because it's Kim Kardashian and you want to have Kim Kardashian's contour. Yeah, that's basically it for this anti haul. Let me know if you liked this video, if you want to see more videos like this. I didn't mean to turn this into like me ranting and being very negative. I try not to be negative about stuff, but yeah, these are just kind of products that I was a little bit disappointed in recently and that I certainly myself will not be wasting my money on. Again, a lot of these brands I actually do like Too Faced, I like a lot of their products. Urban Decay, I like a lot of their products. I actually really love a lot of Urban Decay things. What else did I mention? Kat Von D, love Kat Von D. Love, love, love her brand. I have the Middle Matte palette right here. I've obviously used it a lot. I use it on a lot of my clients. They love it. The metals are beautiful. A lot of the mattes are beautiful as well. I did a tutorial using this palette if you want to see it. I can link it somewhere, however you do that. Again, not bashing any of the brands, just some products that I don't really like myself. Also, if you have these products and you like them and they work for you, perfect. That's great for you. I'm glad you have them. I'm glad you're enjoying your makeup. That's amazing. They're just not something I'm gonna buy myself. Waste my money on makeup that I don't want or need. Also, another reminder that you can follow me on my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, and subscribe to the channel, obviously, if you want to, and I will see you next time. Thank you.